Listen to this verse. Peter chapter 2, verse 18 says, "Slaves, in reverent fear of God, submit yourself to your masters, not only to those who are good and considerate, but also to those who are harsh. For it is commendable if someone bears up under the pain of unjust suffering because they are conscious of God. But how is it to your credit if you receive a beating for doing wrong and endure it? But if you suffer for doing good and you endure it, this is commendable before God. To this you were called because Christ suffered for you, leaving you an example that you should follow in his steps, because he suffered for doing good. He committed no sin, and no deceit was found in his mouth. When they hurled their insults at him, he did not retaliate. When he suffered, he made no threats. Instead, he entrusted himself to him who judges justly. He himself bore out sins in his body on the cross, so that we might die to sins and live for righteousness. By his wounds you have been healed, for you were like sheep gone astray, but now you have returned to the shepherd and overseer of your souls." In this verse, he's talking about, in Peter's day, slavery was normalized. And so what he's saying here is that not only should these people be kind and persevere and gentle with masters that were gentle and kind to them, but also rather to still persevere and be gentle to the masters who were harsh, who were mistreating them. That's so applicable in our own life, especially my life recently. I have noticed that even when I do the right thing, when I say the right thing, when I make the right choice, is that you can still suffer for doing good. You can still get punished for doing the right thing. And man, did I need to hear this. How many times in your life have you said the right thing? Have you done the right thing? Have you made the right choice? And yet, you are still persecuted, and yet you are still criticized, and yet you are still condemned, right? Even if it's in a small way or in a large way, maybe it's something a friend said, maybe it's something a family member said, maybe it's something your boss said, something a coworker said. Even though you know you have pursued good and you made the right choice, and yet you are punished. For me, I then question whether or not that decision was correct, because I am basing I'm basing my judgment on whether or not I made the right decision based on the other person's reaction. And that is a great way to set yourself up for confusion, because the other person's reaction is not reality, right? The other person's reaction is not reality. I actually have another video on that, on how to tame overreactions. Is that the other person's reaction is not indicative of whether or not you made the right decision or said the right thing. And that even in times when you are under the umbrella of unjust treatment, you are being unfairly criticized, unfairly condemned, is that we are to still suffer for doing good and endure it, because it is commendable to God, right? Just when they hurled insults at Jesus, he did not retaliate, and he made no threats. This is something that is extremely difficult to do. It's easy to say in the moment when you are not under the storm of emotions of anger and indignancy or frustration or confusion, right? Whether when you're in a conversation or you're in a situation where you need to try and make this flash decision on what to say or what to do. Not only do you have to endure it, but you have to try to endure it with calmness. You have to try to endure it with perseverance. You have to try to endure it with gentleness, knowing that you did the right thing and you made the right decision. Because when you really do, you think about it, you're like, wait a minute, that's what it means to be Christ-like. And though I definitely can never fit that mold and will never fit that complete mold, because we're never going to be perfect, is that we have to try our best to strive to embody that, right? Because then when you think about it, it's like he, despite being insults hurled at him, he made no threats. Despite being whipped and punched and spit at, he did not retaliate. And so you can apply that in your own life. It's like, despite making the right decision, despite saying the right thing, despite trying to help this person or to do the right thing or to say the right thing, I'm still being criticized. I'm still being condemned. I'm still being told that I'm wrong. But despite that, I am not going to retaliate. I am not going to hurl threats or insults. Easier said than done. But this was like a mini revelation that I was coming across as I was reading this. Then it goes on to say in chapter 3, verse 13, "Who is going to harm you if you are eager to do good? But even if you should suffer for what is right, you are blessed. Do not fear their threats, do not be frightened. But in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect, keeping a clear conscience, so that those who speak maliciously against your good behavior in Christ may be ashamed of their slander. For it is better, if it is God's will, to suffer for doing good than for doing evil." And so this is something that's so interesting because, as it said, it is better to suffer for doing good than it is to do evil. And sometimes it's so much easier to pay back evil with evil, to pay back criticism with criticism, to pay back unjust behavior with unjust behavior. And as long as you can try to make the best decision that you can, despite that condemnation, despite that frustration, despite those false accusations or unfair, right, or unjust criticism, their accusations and their threats will be empty as long as you respond appropriately. But we have to do it with perseverance, in calmness, in peace, and in gentleness. Now, I'm a hypocrite saying this because I struggle with this very virtue. I struggle significantly with this very virtue. Often my reactions are to defend myself if I feel that I am right in the situation, or if I feel like I have made the right decision, I've done the right thing, I have been respectful, and yet I am still being condemned, and I'm still being criticized. The need to over-explain yourself to try and defend that point of view and defend that when you know you're in the right. And you know you've made the right decision and said the right thing. And now maybe this person, as I said, maybe they had a bad day. Maybe this person, which is so often the case, doesn't have the full picture of what it is that's going on. And that's why you're facing some of this pushback, is that we are to not retaliate. We are to not push back against the harshness and abrasiveness with harshness and abrasiveness, but rather with gentleness, with patience, and perseverance in peace, and just how challenging that really is. So I thought there was so much in those few lines in the book of Peter that was definitely worth sharing, right? If those types of insights are something that you're interested in, hit that subscribe button. I post easy to follow videos every week, at least I've been trying to, on the Bible, on mental health, that can help you to make decisions, and that can just give you insight on things you might not have seen in different perspectives. So keep that stuff in mind, my dear friends. God bless and persevere.